The rain fell in torrents that night, as if the sky itself was weeping uncontrollably. Lightning slashed across the dark clouds, illuminating the small, modest house on the quiet corner of Maple Street for brief, dramatic moments before plunging everything back into darkness. The wind howled, rattling the old windows and shaking the trees in the front yard. Inside that humble home, Ryan Hayes sat on the edge of his 7-year-old daughter's bed, his voice low, warm, and steady as he read her favorite bedtime story for the third time. Emma was curled up under her favorite blanket, her tiny fingers still clutching the edge of her father's worn t-shirt. She always held on to him a little tighter when the thunder roared. Ryan's voice never wavered. He wanted her to feel safe, protected, loved, no matter how fierce the storm outside became. Then came the knock. It was loud, sharp, desperate. Ryan stopped mid-sentence. His heart tightened in his chest. It was nearly midnight, and the storm was raging at its peak. No one should be outside in weather like this. He gently closed the storybook, leaned down, and kissed Emma's forehead softly. "Sleep tight, my little princess," he whispered tenderly. "Daddy's right here. Nothing can hurt you while I'm around." He stood up quietly, walked down the short hallway, and paused for a moment at the front door. The knocking came again, louder this time, almost frantic. Ryan took a deep breath, unlocked the door, and opened it just a crack. The cold wind and rain rushed in violently. There she stood on his doorstep, a woman, completely drenched from head to toe. Her long, dark hair was plastered against her pale face. Her expensive coat clung to her body like a second skin, water streaming down in rivulets. She was shivering violently, arms wrapped tightly around herself, lips turning a worrying shade of blue. Her eyes were wide with exhaustion, fear, and desperation. "Please," her voice cracked, barely audible over the pounding rain. "My car broke down about 2 miles back. My phone is completely dead. I have nowhere else to go. Can I just stand inside for a few minutes? I won't cause any trouble, I promise." Ryan looked at her for only a heartbeat. He saw the raw fear in her eyes, the way her shoulders shook uncontrollably from the cold, the way she seemed to be holding herself together by sheer willpower. He didn't hesitate for even a second. "Come in," he said softly, his voice calm and reassuring as he opened the door wider. "You'll freeze to death out there. Please, get inside." She stepped in quickly, water pouring off her coat onto the old wooden floor. Ryan closed the door firmly behind her, shutting out the howling wind and relentless rain. The house suddenly felt warmer, safer, like a small sanctuary against the storm. He disappeared down the hallway for a moment and returned with the largest clean towel he owned. "Here," he said gently, handing it to her. "Dry yourself first. I'll make you something warm to drink and eat." She took the towel with trembling hands. Her eyes widened with genuine surprise and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking slightly. "Most people would have slammed the door in my face on a night like this, especially a stranger." Ryan gave her a small, tired but kind smile that reached his eyes. "Most people haven't been desperate before," he replied quietly. "I'll be right back." While she dried her hair and face as best she could, Ryan went straight to the kitchen. He heated up the leftover chicken soup he had made for dinner earlier, stirring it slowly and carefully so it wouldn't burn. He also pulled out a clean t-shirt and a pair of his own sweatpants from the laundry basket. Simple, worn, but clean and dry. When she came out of the small bathroom a few minutes later, still shivering a little, he handed her the clothes with a gentle expression. "They'll be too big on you," he said apologetically, "but at least they're dry and warm. You can change in the bathroom." She looked at the simple clothes in her hands, then back at him. For the first time that night, something in her guarded expression softened. "I don't even know your name," she said softly. Ryan Hayes. And you?" "Elena," she replied quietly. She didn't offer her last name, and Ryan didn't ask. They sat together in the small living room as the rain continued to hammer against the roof and windows. Ryan handed her a steaming bowl of soup and a mug of hot tea. "Eat slowly," he said kindly. "It's still hot. Take your time." Elena ate in silence for a while, occasionally glancing at Ryan as he sat quietly across from her. He didn't bombard her with questions. He didn't push for details. He simply gave her space, warmth, and respect. "Let me tell you the real, quiet story of Ryan Hayes. The man most people on Maple Street thought they had figured out. For 4 long, challenging years, the neighbors had only seen Ryan as the quiet, single dad who seemed to struggle every single day. He drove an old, rusty pickup truck that sometimes coughed and sputtered in the cold mornings. He worked long hours at Mike's auto repair shop, fixing other people's cars under the hot sun or in the freezing cold. In the evenings, he took on extra delivery shifts, driving around the city until late just to make sure there was always food on the table, clothes on Emma's back, and the lights stayed on. Every single morning at 5 a.m. No matter how exhausted his body felt, Ryan woke up first. He made Emma heart-shaped pancakes because they made her giggle with joy. He packed her lunch with little handwritten notes that said, "You are my sunshine," or "Daddy loves you more than all the stars in the sky." He walked her to the bus stop, holding her small hand tightly in his, then went to work with a smile on his face, even when his back ached and his savings account was nearly empty. In the evenings, no matter how tired he was, he helped with homework, listened patiently to her stories about school, read bedtime stories until she fell asleep, and made sure she never went to bed wondering if she was loved or safe. The neighbors talked. They always talked when they thought he couldn't hear. Poor Ryan. He's doing it all alone and still barely making ends meet. He's too nice for his own good, always helping others but never asking for help himself. Look at him taking in strangers now. That man is going to get himself in serious trouble one day. What they didn't know, what no one on Maple Street truly understood, was the depth of the sacrifice Ryan had made. Before Emma was born, Ryan had been a talented mechanical engineer with a promising career at a large company in the city. He had a good salary, health benefits, and a future that looked bright and secure. But 4 years ago, on a stormy night very much like this one, his beloved wife Sarah was killed in a terrible car accident. The loss nearly broke him completely. Instead of burying himself in work to escape the pain and grief, Ryan made the hardest and most beautiful decision of his life. He quit his high-paying job. He sold their comfortable apartment. He moved back to this small, modest house so Emma could grow up near her grandparents and never feel the crushing emptiness of an absent father. He chose to be present every single day. He chose heart-shaped pancakes and bedtime stories over promotions and bigger paychecks. He chose being a full-time dad over chasing success and money. And in the 4 years since Sarah's passing, Ryan had never once regretted that choice. Even when money was tight, even when the neighbors whispered, even when life felt overwhelmingly heavy some days. He had chosen love, and love, he believed, was worth every sacrifice. Elena finished her soup and set the bowl down carefully. She looked around the small living room, the old but spotlessly clean furniture, the colorful drawings Emma had made taped to the walls, the worn but comfortable couch that had clearly seen many years of love. "You have a beautiful home," she said softly, her voice sincere. Ryan chuckled lightly, a warm sound. "It's small, but it's ours. It's home." They talked for a while as the rain slowly began to ease outside. Elena told him she had been driving back from an important late meeting when her car suddenly lost power and died in the middle of the storm. No cell signal. No help nearby. She had walked for what felt like hours until she saw the light in his window. "I didn't know what else to do," she admitted quietly. "I just kept walking. And then I saw your porch light." Ryan nodded with understanding, his eyes kind. "You're safe here tonight. The couch is yours. I'll sleep on the floor. Don't worry about anything." She looked at him for a long moment, searching his face as if trying to find some hidden motive. "Why are you being so kind to a complete stranger?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan glanced toward Emma's bedroom door, his expression softening with quiet love. "Because one day my little girl might be the one standing in the rain, cold and scared and alone. I hope with all my heart that someone will open their door for her too." That night, Ryan made sure Elena had everything she needed. He gave her an extra blanket, a fresh glass of water, and even a small nightlight in case the thunder frightened her. He checked on Emma twice during the night, adjusting her blanket and whispering good night each time. As the hours passed and the rain gradually softened, Elena lay on the couch, unable to fall asleep right away. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about the man who had opened his door without question, without expectation. She thought about how different he was from everyone she knew in her high-powered world. The next morning, the storm had finally passed. Golden sunlight streamed through the windows, making the old wooden floor glow with warmth. Ryan was already in the kitchen making breakfast. The comforting smell of pancakes filled the small house. Emma came out, rubbing her eyes, and stopped when she saw the stranger sitting at the table. "Daddy, who is that lady?" she asked curiously, tilting her head. Elena smiled warmly at the little girl. "I'm a friend who got lost in the rain last night. Your daddy was very kind and helped me." Emma looked at her father with open pride. "Daddy helps everyone," she said simply, as if it was the most obvious fact in the world. While Elena prepared to leave, she noticed how small and simple Ryan's life really was. The furniture was old but cared for with love. The walls had a few cracks that had been carefully patched. The roof probably leaked when it rained hard. Yet the house felt full of warmth, laughter, and unconditional love. The kind of love that no amount of money could ever buy. She had spent her entire adult life in boardrooms, luxury hotels, private jets, and high-stakes meetings. She was surrounded by people who calculated every favor, every smile, every kind word. No one had ever helped her like this selflessly, without expecting anything in return. As she was about to say goodbye, Ryan quietly packed her a small bag with some food, a bottle of water, and a spare phone charger he had. "Just in case your car takes a while to fix," he said with a gentle smile. "Drive safely." Elena felt a deep warmth bloom in her chest, a feeling she hadn't experienced in many years. But outside, the neighbors had already started whispering and gossiping. Mrs. Jenkins across the street had seen the luxury car parked in front of Ryan's house all night. By 8 a.m., half the street was peeking through their curtains and talking behind closed doors. "Look at him," one neighbor laughed loudly, "taking in random women in the middle of the night. He's too naive for his own good." Another added with a smirk, "He'll never learn. Always helping everyone but himself. One day someone's going to take serious advantage of that big heart of his." Ryan heard the comments when he stepped outside to get the newspaper, but he simply smiled and waved like he always did. He had heard it all before. It no longer bothered him. Elena was about to thank Ryan one last time and call for a ride when the first sleek black luxury car appeared slowly at the end of the quiet street. Then another, then 10 more. Within minutes, more than 100 luxury vehicles, Mercedes, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and several custom Maybachs lined the entire length of Maple Street. Security guards in dark suits stepped out of the cars with serious expressions. The neighbors poured out onto their porches, staring in complete shock and disbelief. Mrs. Jenkins pointed dramatically. "See, I told you all. He's mixed up with dangerous people." Elena stepped outside, still wearing Ryan's oversized t-shirt and sweatpants. The moment the security team saw her, they rushed forward with visible relief. "Miss Voss! Thank God you're safe! We've been searching for you all night!" The entire street fell into a stunned, heavy silence. Elena turned slowly to face Ryan. Her eyes were filled with deep, complex emotion. Ryan stood there calmly, holding Emma's small hand in his, as if 100 luxury cars showing up on his modest street was the most ordinary thing in the world. One of the security guards approached him with respect. "Sir, do you have any idea who this woman is?" Before Ryan could respond, Elena spoke, her voice clear, strong, and carrying across the entire street so everyone could hear. "This man saved me last night. When I was freezing, lost, and completely alone in the pouring rain, he opened his door without hesitation. He gave me dry clothes, warm food, and a safe place to sleep. He asked for nothing in return. Not money, not favors, not anything." She turned to face the neighbors, who had been mocking Ryan for years, her gaze steady. "You've been laughing at this man behind his back for a long time. You called him naive. You called him foolish. You said he would never get ahead in life. But last night, he showed more kindness, more integrity, and more quiet strength than most of you ever will in your entire lives." Elena took a slow step closer to Ryan. Her voice softened, but it still carried. "My full name is Elena Voss. I am the founder and CEO of Voss Global." She paused, her eyes glistening with unshed tears as the weight of the moment settled over the street. "I have spent years surrounded by people who only see my money, my power, and what I can do for them. No one has ever helped me selflessly until you, Ryan." Tears finally slipped down her cheeks. "You didn't just give me shelter last night. You reminded me what real human kindness feels like. You showed me that there are still good people in this world who help others simply because it's the right thing to do. Ryan stood there quietly, holding Emma's hand. He gave Elena the same gentle, humble smile he always gave his daughter when she needed reassurance. "I just did what any decent person should do," he said softly. But Elena shook her head, her voice thick with emotion. "No, you did so much more than that." That afternoon, Elena made sure the judgment and whispers on Maple Street ended for good. She personally spoke to several neighbors, thanking them for their concern with such genuine grace and warmth that many of them felt ashamed of their earlier words. Later, as the golden sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful hues of orange and pink, Elena sat on Ryan's front porch with him and little Emma. The little girl was playing happily in the yard, her laughter filling the air. "I want to help you, Ryan," Elena said quietly, her voice full of sincerity. "Not because I owe you anything, but because good people like you deserve so much better than what life has given you so far." Ryan shook his head gently, his eyes warm and content. "We're okay, Elena. Really. We have everything we need right here, each other." She smiled softly, touched by his humility. "Then let me make sure you stay okay. No strings attached, I promise." Over the following weeks, Elena quietly and respectfully changed Ryan's life in ways he never could have imagined. She offered him a meaningful position at her company with completely flexible hours, so he could always be there for Emma's important moments. She also paid off the remaining mortgage on his house, a generous gift that Ryan only discovered when the bank called to congratulate him on becoming a full homeowner. 6 months later, Maple Street felt like a different place. Neighbors no longer whispered about Ryan when he walked Emma to the bus stop. They waved warmly. They asked how he was doing with genuine care. They had learned, many of them, for the first time, to think twice, and then a third time before judging someone based on the car they drove, the size of their house, or the clothes they wore. Elena became a dear and welcome part of their lives. She and Emma planted flowers together in the front yard every weekend. Ryan and Elena developed a close, respectful friendship. Two people from completely different worlds brought together by one stormy night and one simple, honest act of kindness. As another beautiful golden sunset painted the sky one peaceful evening, Ryan stood on his porch watching Emma play happily in the yard. Elena stood beside him, her presence now familiar and comforting. "You changed my life, Ryan," she said softly, her voice full of quiet emotion. Ryan smiled that same gentle, humble smile and shook his head slowly. "No," he replied quietly, "kindness did. And that, dear friend, is the quiet and beautiful power of a single dad." We pass by people every single day. People who work hard, people who struggle quietly, people who live simple and honest lives. And far too often, we judge them too quickly. We laugh at their kindness. We call them naive. We assume they don't know any better. But sometimes, the person you mock for opening his door on a stormy night is the very person who will restore your faith in humanity when you need it most. Never underestimate simple kindness. It costs nothing, yet it can change everything. It can heal wounds we never knew we had. It can bridge worlds we thought could never meet. It can turn strangers into friends and judgment into respect. If this story touched your heart tonight, please remember this simple but powerful truth. Kindness costs us nothing, but its value is priceless. Be the person who opens the door. Be the person who chooses compassion when no one is watching. Hit the like button if you believe we should never judge a book by its cover or a person by their circumstances. Share this story with someone who needs to be reminded of the power of an open heart and a helping hand. And subscribe to Heartland Tales for more warm, emotional, heart-healing stories about single dads, hidden strength, quiet sacrifice, and the beautiful things that happen when we choose kindness over judgment. We'll see you in the next heartwarming story. Until then, hold your loved ones a little closer tonight. Be kind. Open the door. The world needs more people like Ryan Hayes